Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Kicking Back podcast. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Jay Chambers.
Yo, yo.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man. I'm sure we're going to have a lovely discussion and we'll hear some of your music in a bit. We're going to have a good time.
I'm excited.
Yeah, man. And of course we have Kim McKenzie. Hi,
Hello.
Kim.
I am back.
How are you?
I am wonderful.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. We've done another podcast today, so I'm very much in a podcast mentality. It was a mindfulness podcast, so
Ooh.
it was very chilled. It was delightful.
So you're a mindful podcast.
I'm being very mindful of how great this podcast is. So, Jay, for the people at home that don't know who you are, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what did you do?
So my name's Jay Chambers. So I'm a hip-hop/reggae artist. I'm a spoken word poet and I guess like a community educator as well.
Sweet, man. So how long have you been doing your own stuff for then?
Roughly, I don't know. That's a really good question. A few years now, basically. I started out as a drummer, as you do. Used to play in like bands and stuff.
Oh, right, okay.
And at the age of 21, I decided to make a change, started being more in front of, obviously, the drum kit and actually going and starting writing songs. Part a song to radio, obviously, that got picked up, and then here we are. So it's been a good few years.
I'm always intrigued, Jay, by people's earlier musical adventures.
I'm not putting it out there. No chance, bro.
You should have got a drum kit in. For you.
What was the vibe of the stuff, like when you were doing the drumming? What were you doing, man?
I thought I said I didn't want to answer that question.
I'll keep pushing, man.
This was the thing you didn't want to talk about.
This was the line.
Yeah, you should have said this before, man.
Go in.
Was it like, what, like?
No,
rock
it was
vibe
different.
and-
So like, I used to play in like rock bands and stuff. So it's like a
shit, right.
complete departure from what I do now.
Right, okay, cool.
I'll show you some stuff off air.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to force you to like, put that stuff out to the public, man. Your secret's safe with us.
Thank you.
It's
I
fine,
appreciate
man.
it. This is a
Exactly.
safe space.
Yeah, man, exactly.
It's the mindfulness.
Yeah, safe mindful
See,
space.
if I hadn't have done that podcast earlier on today, you'd have been in big trouble right now. Man. Big trouble. So, I'm always interested in people's kind of musical upbringing and sort of what was going on in the house. You know, were your parents like big into music? Did they show you things as you were growing up?
Yeah, like my household musically was mad because like I had my dad who was like your traditional kind of Jamaican parent, just listened to like strictly roots reggae and that's it. Anything else was kind of semi-blasphemous. Like you don't play that to me. Whereas my mum had more of like an open mind musically. So like she showed me like some of my first hip hop records that I ever heard, like De La Soul and people like that. My mother showed me, but she also showed me like rock stuff and punk. So I got quite a bit of an eclectic taste growing up at home. Mixture of roots and then everything else.
Okay, cool. And then what was the point where, you know, I would say like teenage tearaway, like what were the records that you sort of picked up on your own and started like forming your own musical identity? What sort of bands were those?
Oh man, I was like such a skatery emo like teen, like
Oh,
listening to
really?
like The Used and like people
Okay.
like that skating around Urbis, not wanting to talk to anybody and that. Like that was me from like 60, like from 13 to about 16, and then I started like getting more into like hip hop stuff and then evolved from there.
Right, okay. Skating.
Yeah.
That is something that I was never ever able to do. I have a
no.
very vivid, disturbing childhood memory of me
Do tell.
of me like trying to like drop in on a half pipe, right? That's what they call it.
Man, yeah.
Literally, I spent an entire day trying to do it, a whole day,
Just falling.
just constantly, man. And after that, I was like, I can't do this,
Aw.
man. I gave up.
I had a skateboard, and the extent that it was used was just to sit on it and roll between mine and my sister's rooms. So
Wow.
good use for the money. Yeah.
Oh, like literally, your parents bought you.
No,
bought you that and then-
my friend bought it for me for my birthday.
Ah. Well,
Sorry,
used then.
friend, if you're watching. Definitely not.
So, in terms of like your recording process, well, I guess your writing process as well. You know, do you do a lot of it yourself, or do you work with producers, or what's
So
the vibe?
everything I do is a collaborative effort between myself and a guy called JSD from Virus Syndicate. So I just work with him exclusively.
Alright.
So what will happen is we'll go in session, we'll build like instrumentals, like based off ideas or whatever. Then I go away, I write to that. or sometimes write in studio, and then we just build it up from there. So it's a completely collaborative process, which is new because it never used to be that way. Before, I'd just do the thing of writing everything on my own and not really wanting to kind of share that process, but actually the collaboration is just making it so much better now.
Yeah, I always find it's better that, you know, to have that someone to bounce off, and it does keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Then, do you know what I mean? Because it's so easy to just get like stuck in like a loop of listening to something over and over and over.
That's the thing. And I guess it becomes ego. It's like, well, why don't I want to share like this and work with somebody else? Like, am I really that ignorant to think I'm the only voice that matters? It's like, you know, let me work with somebody else and get some more influence. So it's cool.
Fair, man.
How long do you feel like it kind of took you to give up that internal power almost that you had over?
Ashamedly longer than I thought it should. Like, I think like only in the last year, like Escape the Kingdom was the first one where we kind of like was like, this was a vision, because it's a long story, but basically a lot of my family and the musicians in my family are reggae musicians, just because a lot of them are Rastafarians and obviously of Jamaican descent, and it's just the music that's used to express, you know, the principles of Rastafari. So it's just always been a part of my heritage and my culture that I've always wanted to explore, but never felt in the right space, kind of like spiritually and mentally. And like in the last kind of like 2-3 years, I've just kind of been learning more about myself and just been more interested in that. And then Jay was in studio and stuff like, bro, why are we not like incorporating like who you are into your music? Like it feels like you're wanting to go down this other lane, and actually you need to be doing this. And so I did the first song from Escape the Kingdom, which was 218 or 213, depending on where you download it from. And it was with my cousin Too Nice, who's like a massive influence on my music. And we recorded, he sent me a voice note of the song with his ideas on it, and he actually passed before we could record it. So we had to take that voice note and build a whole song around it. And then from that, the whole project became a thing of like trying to honor him, because he was encouraging me to do it. And it just really felt organic, and like, here we are. But that entire project happened from Jay encouraging me to just be who I am in it.
Sick, man.
So shout out to JSD.
Yeah.
So, you know, you say you spent the past few years like learning things about yourself, and we were chatting before the podcast, you know, you're big on like this whole identity thing. What sort of things have you been learning about yourself?
It's all sorts. So like, just firstly speaking to like my relatives, so like speaking to my gran and my granddad about like where they came from and like their upbringing in Jamaica, doing like my family tree and my DNA history as well, which has been really interesting.
Okay.
And just like reading more about like African history and Caribbean history, and just putting the pieces together of like who I am and where I come from.
Sick, man. I think it's so important to do that, you know. I did a bit of it recently. I realised how dull my family history is, man. Like we were doing like research into it. So my second name's Ingham.
Ooh.
So we were doing like research into that, and basically that name has been based in Lancashire for like as back as far as it goes, basically. So we've just not moved anywhere. We've just stayed in the north, and that's it, man. So I kind of was hoping for some like interesting like Germanic thing or something, but just didn't get that, man.
No.
I always feel like if with ancestry and that, because you pay so much for the kit, like if you have a family tree that's like that, they should give you some money back.
Yeah, man.
I could have found this out myself. Like, give me my money back.
Or just lie to me. Just lie to me. I'm okay with it, man.
Here's
just
the realistic option. Here's the fake one.
Yeah. Which one would you like? You know, yeah. So you do quite a lot of community work and workshops and things like that. Do you want to tell us a little about like what sort of things it is you're doing workshops on?
So I guess like with the type of things I explore in my music, like through talking about like knowledge and how important it is for like communities to empower themselves with understanding of who they are and where they come from, a natural progression of that was kind of going into the community and doing bits around that. Right. So it kind of started from doing the Blue Peter thing and going and doing like a poem with them. And then I started getting asked to like appear in schools and help young kids unpack their identity through spoken word. And then it just kind of snowballed into something that I wanted to create a proper project around. So I collaborated with a friend of mine called Paris, who's a PhD student. And we created like a little collaborative company called, a collaborative project, sorry, she gets mad when I say it's a company, called Black in Manchester. And we did a few things. So like we did a workshop at a local school. We spoke at the Royal London College of Psychiatry on like their webinar about Black music and mental health. We also did some workshops in the community just talking about like hip hop ownership and just like the commodification of Black culture and just how important it is to, I guess, help control the narrative. If people are earning money from our narrative, then it's important that we have control over it as well.
Okay. Can we pull up some? Is it like a social media thing?
I mean,
or
like,
anything like that,
if
or
you
is
go on my gram, not to kind of bait myself up, but if you go, if you go
How
on
convenient.
if you go on my Instagram, there's like pictures and stuff from the one that we did. Or Twitter has like some tweets. I think there is footage from the thing on Twitter. Like there's a link for the Royal London Psychiatry one. I actually got quite mad in it. It was really funny. So there's always like this generic stock response when you talk about like hip hop, and the immediate thing that happens in academic circles is that someone will say, well, what about the misogyny? How can this art form be holistic if there's so much misogyny in there? And so obviously hip hop does have bits of misogyny in there, and it does need unpacking, and that's part of the culture that needs to progress. But it also seems really jarring to me because then you're disregarding the complete other side of that, where you've got like your Akalas, your Low Keys, your Talib Kweli's, who are actually saying a lot and trying to do like things on a greater level than what I can. And so I actually got really annoyed at that person and went mad at them pretty much on the thing. I didn't realize until I watched it back. I was actually really triggered. And I think it was just like, because, you know, there's research that's been done on like rock music videos. There was one study that did a comparative analysis of rock music videos in the early 90s, and they found that 57% of the rock music videos portrayed women in a subservient role to men. And I think it was something like 12% of those videos actually depicted violence against women, but no one ever talks about rock music in that way. So I'm like, if we're going to have this discourse, it's a music culture issue. It's not just something that's specific to hip hop culture, though it is a part of it. That would make sense.
Yeah, man.
I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, please stay on your soapbox.
This is good, man. So how long have you been doing the like sort of the workshops and stuff, or is it something you ever thought you'd do?
Nah, look at me. Do I think people would listen to me? Like it just kind of happened, didn't it? Like, I guess just kind of, I talk a lot of stuff in my music, innit? And because I've got the knowledge to back it up, and I've got great friends who can help me do that, it just became like a natural progression, I guess. And I've ended up doing things like, I can see my gram there. This is so professional. I'm enjoying this. Like, here on my gram. Like, you've got like the Sky News thing. I was on a panel for them, and there's like the BBC thing as well. So like, it's just about, I guess, like using my voice to kind of encourage more conversation around these issues.
Definitely, man. That was something, when I first came across you, because I listened to like the Kingdom EP. I was like, this is fucking sweet. And I went on your gram. I was just like looking at all the like community works and stuff you do. I was like, this guy's got a bit of something about him. You know what I mean? So I think it's cool, man, that you do all this stuff. Have you got any like workshops or anything coming up?
At the moment, just with like Christmas and stuff, taking a break. But I think the next thing that we'll do, Black in Manchester wise, is me and Paris have spoken about maybe doing like a webinar or something like that.
Okay.
But it's just still up in the air. But there are a few things potentially in the pipeline.
Okay.
How did you get in with the Royal? It was the Royal
London College of Psychiatry.
Royal London College of Psychiatry. Yeah. How did that kind of collaboration come up? So
Paris, who I collaborate with for Black in Manchester, is involved in something called Hip Hop Psych, and I think it was one of the psychiatrists on that, Akeem, who's an amazing guy, shout out Akeem, put us forward for it, knowing that our specialism within that was understanding black music and understanding hip hop, and that's what they wanted to speak about. So I was there from an industry perspective. Paris was there as a PhD student who does stuff around early years and childhood development, I think. Don't hate me if I'm wrong, Paris. And we had Dr. Rafael Travis, who's like a hip hop academic from America as well. So it was like a multi-pronged kind of approach to unpacking this problem.
In terms of like resources or things that you've come across in and around like sort of black music and hip hop as a culture, are there any things that you sort of, Joe Blogs, an idiot like me, what could I go and like look at or sort of read up on? Because I love listening to hip hop, but historically I don't really know that much, if you know what I mean, about it all really.
There's an amazing book called Can't Stop Won't Stop by Jeffrey Chang, which is like pretty much a chronological unpacking of hip hop history. Okay. So you're going from like the fruition of it in the South Bronx to even there's a chapter about Trenchtown. So the person who's largely celebrated as the creator of hip hop is DJ Kool Herc. he's actually Jamaican. So in the book, I think there's some quotes from Kool Herc where he's talking about how hip hop actually started in Trenchtown, because spoken word black expression goes back far beyond hip hop. It goes back to like dancehall culture and the tradition of toasting, which then goes back into the tradition, West African tradition of the griot, who was like a community poet and oral history keeper. So it's just an extension of that. And it's interesting when you follow the lineage, because most Jamaican people will have West African descent because of the triangular trade. So it's pretty fascinating.
What's the name of that author again?
Jeffrey Chang.
Jeffrey Chang.
It's up on the screen.
Yeah.
Ah, there it is. Okay, cool. Are there any like documentaries or anything like that?
Documentary wise, the Ice-T one, the Something from Nothing, was really, really cool. Just because they have hip hop history, but from the originators. So they go back and they interview like Grandmaster Caz, who's someone that often gets left out of the hip hop story, as like one of the cool Godfather MCs, and people like Rakim as well, who's an amazing MC. So it was really, really cool. It's a great documentary, and I would recommend.
Sick.
We went to the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester.
Oh, dope.
And over the past, I think, year or so, they've been trying to incorporate more kind of workshops. I think I left last year, so this is just what I've kind of been hearing about.
Yeah.
Trying to incorporate more workshops to do with like Black history in music, but it sounds like it would be perfect if you were able to get in there and give a workshop if you were interested.
Yeah,
Because that institution is not diverse at all.
No, it really needs more education, or any education.
This is the issue with like private music education anyway, because like if you think about academia, like less than 1% of UK professors are Black. So if you're thinking about that in a music context, popular music is now merged with Black music. Like a lot of the music we listen to is hip hop influenced or Afro beats influenced, if you're looking at the charts. Excuse me. So the people who are teaching it aren't necessarily people who understand that. So like even when I'm speaking to like one of my friends went to RNCM called Lavender, shout out Lavender. And she always mentions that, you know, she didn't really hear much about the music she listens to while she studied there. And it's like, well, why? If this is popular music and you're like an art that's supposed to be unpacking contemporary music, then obviously you need to be moving with it. And then it becomes an issue of then, well, how do you measure that? Do you make sure that your lecturers are keeping their industry relevance, or do you just have a continual stream of people that you bring in who are aware of like what's going on? So it's a difficult one, but the key is more teachers who are involved in this stuff.
Definitely, man. Sure. I mean, I was there a few years before you, and I picked up on that, like, just like within like 6 months of being there. It's just like, it's just mainly like white people everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, it's so weird as well, because it's like right in the middle of the city, and then you just go in there, and it's just like a little white bubble. I'm just like, this isn't like representative of like the culture that's going on, even just outside the building. Do you know what I mean? Just up the road. It's just it's crazy, man.
That's what's jarring as well, because like a lot of these institutes shared like the blackout square and stuff, and we're like, you know, we're committed to change. And it's like, well, where are your receipts? Like, what have you done in the last 12 months? Have you hired more people? Have you diversified your portfolio in terms of your offering? Have you educated your staff so they're able to teach on a wider remit of genres? Like, where are the receipts? And I think a lot of institutes, if they're asked for them, would crumble.
There was definitely I felt like there was a lot of people just like jumping on the bandwagon with the whole like Black Lives Matter thing. It was like, I don't know, it kind of makes me feel weird saying it, but like just like it almost like it was fashionable or something at the time to like just be like,
100%,
and then just nothing after that. 3-4 months after it come out of the news, it was just back to normal again.
So 100%, it was an opportunity for people to like validate themselves. So like institutions could do that. There are also loads of grassroots organizations that popped up and created merch and made lots of money. But then can we explore where that money's been reinvested in the community, or even has it been? Like, you know, again, the receipts, it's a difficult thing. It's annoying.
With the RNCM, I do remember they made some kind of post about it, and then there was a bit of an uproar for the wording that they used, and it came across almost as a statement that they were diverse, instead of saying more like we're gonna try our best, like bring ideas to us. We want to hear, what we can do better. We want to hear from the students, and like we want to make this a better place in general. And then I think that kind of spurred on Lav to run a Black Lives Matter. It was like just an open discussion. It was live on Facebook, and I think they had about 3 or so 2-hour videos, I think, where there was like a panel of students who shared their experiences and talked about what they thought could, be brought to RNCM and be improved and stuff. And one of the points he said, like, why is it just this small bubble of white men, sort of, when there's so much more just outside? And one of the points was like that there's a school basically just around the corner, with a lot of Black students who do music. Like, why isn't there kind of a connection
You'd be
with that
shocked.
school? So that was like a suggestion that was brought up. I'm not sure if that's come to fruition yet.
It's a problem with a lot of institutions. Like, even if you do your research, there's an institution that launched like a hip hop curriculum in Manchester. And again, none of the people in Manchester who make hip hop are involved. Again, the course isn't very diverse. And like you say, where it's situated is around the corner from a school that has a lot of kids that will probably benefit from that. But I guess then the issue, like we've said, is like people who are involved in making these decisions aren't necessarily from Manchester, like you or I, who have that knowledge to be like, go there and speak to those people, innit? So then I guess it's like empowering those people who have that knowledge to get involved, because academia isn't an inclusive space sometimes, and you hit many barriers. Like even myself, like in the small capacity I engage in it, like because of the way I talk, the way I carry myself, like I don't change no matter what I do. I'm always myself. Like this is the version of me that was speaking on that panel, the same that I'm being here. And I think because of that, some academics don't necessarily like that, but that's their problem, not mine, innit?
Fuck those guys.
I'm gonna be at the next, innit?
Oh man. You know what, Jay? I think let's hear some of your tunes, Mum. So if you want to bounce on over there and get ready, and then we'll switch over to you in a sec.
Sick. Thank you very much.
Good luck, sir. Good luck. How's things in your world, Kim?
Yeah, it's all right. It feels funny kind of talking about RNCM this way on the podcast, but I think it needs to be talked about.
It does need to be talked about. And it's funny when we had Jen on a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And like the conversation we had after the podcast about the institution. And I was like, why didn't you say all? Obviously, she works there, so but there's a lot of problems going on in that place that need to be fucking sorted.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to not be there anymore, to be honest. No more of that shit. Yeah.
What I got out of RNCM most is like meeting people.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
I think it's fucked up now, to be honest. Everyone's just like, it was like a good teacher and has left. So maybe we had the golden years.
Maybe.
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Welcome to our chat.
It's not even a podcast going on. We're just like having a chat.
Having a bit of a rant.
Yeah. So you people at home, if you're enjoying what you are listening/watching so far, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to be putting out a podcast every single week. By the end of the year, we'll have done 50 podcasts.
Wow. 50.
50.
50.
50.
Wow.
We're going to be doing a Christmas special as well, which is going to be going out late December. You're going to be there for that as well. It's going to be great. We've got our mental health podcast special week thing that's happening at the end of this month. We've got 3 different podcasts speaking to psychologists, trauma therapists, people from Manchester Mind. We've got some live acts going on with that as well. There's loads of things happening, so why would you not want to be involved? So subscribe to us on YouTube, because we're only on like 240 something.
Yeah. Can we get it to 1 million subscribers by the end of this year?
Yeah, if we do that, I will literally like take all my clothes off and run through like Manchester Centre for 4 hours straight. If we get up to 1 million by the end of the year, that's the promise there.
That's the reward that you get.
Yeah.
That's what the people want.
I'll
right?
put it on our Rec Room's OnlyFans page. And have a great time. We won't actually. Well, no, I will do that. That's a promise.
That's a promise.
That's a promise.
Yeah.
I am going to do that. Right. Anyway, that's enough chatting utter bollocks. We're going to have a little ad break, and then we're going over to Jay with some live music. So we will see you very shortly. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Kicking Back podcast.
Yes. My name is Jay Chambers. This is Escape the Kingdom.
Divide is just a windstorm to keep us stuck inside this rat race. But we're gonna start a riot in this kingdom.
Yo. Since Windrush we've been let down, still politicians don't back down. 3% of the population did that serve as the motivation. 11,000 affected, 100 sent quick. Guess they forgot who the guest is. Yes, it's obvious the system suppressors to test our elected. So what's up, we asked for a death wish. Ain't surprised with their scheming though. Amber Rudd is a heathen bro. Think about how she treats us, no. The system ain't trying to see us grow. 500,000 brought here to rebuild. When they depict us, it ain't a skill, a strong will. Still picking cotton in the fields, but then they gave us the game. We'll keep on switching the rules. They won't acknowledge our pain, but keep on taking our jewels. Swapping cotton for cotton in Congo. Shame as we beg and we borrow. Better tomorrow is hollow. It never ended the sorrow. Getting real critical, trauma is cyclical. When we have breakdowns, it's typical. Leave us untreated, defeated. Just to say elective, we need it, believe it. But when we achieve it, you read it. Will the system change? The only dividers is when they remind us that they don't view us the same.
Divide is just a windstorm for keep us stuck inside this rat race. But we're gonna start a riot in this kingdom. So put a fire to this damn place. They try to hide the wisdom for keep us stuck inside this damn maze. But we're gonna start a riot in this kingdom and put a fire to this damn place. Set a fire to this damn place. Put a fire to this damn place. We're gonna start a riot in this kingdom and set a fire to this damn place.
This next one's called Kill the Noise. All these songs are taken from Escape the Kingdom LP, which is out now. If you like what you hear, go cop it, innit? Yo. Claim we're inferior, you painters we meet the criteria. You feign hysteria, you painters you think that we fear. You clear, you don't value our lives. Dehumanized overnight, your lies are ruining pride. I'll make it clearer, fuck Boris and fuck the Tories. Same old story, after Grenfell and New Cross. You wanna deport me from Hood to Yarlswood. An equal falsehood, promise of a future. You send me back if you could. Borrow parts of our culture, only to sell them back. Hollow industry vultures, focus on selling gas. If you tip the scales, privilege prevails. No blackmail tales, unless you wanna see it impacting your sales. Well, if Mallory Blackman was a racist, Britain has a dark past, but it don't face it. Replace it with images and caricatures, forgetting we were maroons and Moors. Wanna show me scrubbing your floors, pause. Wonder why kids are filled with rage and can't turn a page. Mommy working every day and can't save a wage. Same system, same pain, different chains. The fight still remains. Use your voice, be the change. Go.
We hustling a ya. A that then I see me say a conspiracy. Yeah, we hustling a ya. Man solid as a rock. Yeah, we are feel like killing nice.
What's a black life worth? The dirt, the hearse, the tears raining down the faces on the steps of the church. Pain everlasting. When you looked in the casket and realised in that moment they'll never move past it. System training us from early, tell us we're unworthy. Preach to unnerve me, the society serve me. Controversy to deter me from accomplishing aims. Systems fearing the blame, they don't want us to change. Patriotism or prejudice, the scale of benefits. Intention is evident when you're reporting for relevance. If you tip the scales, privilege prevails. No black male tales unless you wanna see it impacting yourselves while pigeonholing for pride. Paper selling a lie, time to bridge the divide. With this hatred that's on the rise, I can see the demise. The fear in the eyes is the prize when they realize that our hearts aim for the sky. Wonder why kids are full of rage and can't turn the page. Money working every day, I can't save a wage. Same system, same pain, different chains. Though the fight still remains, use your voice, be the change, kill the noise.
We hustling a ya, that then I see me say a conspiracy. Hey, you know, we hustling a ya. One solid as a rock, yeah, we a feel like healthy nice. Empty barrel, yeah, me say that I make noise. Good over evil, that's why man I rejoice. Change chambers, me brother, we are pulling on. Build warriors,
Yes.
soon come the days when the table I go turn. Well, for me things coming on, me have to earn money. Now play the wrong side, that nothing a goal. Not in the world, if me have to sell my soul. Hey, you know, we hustling a ya. I that then I see me say a conspiracy. Hey, you know, we hustling a ya. Man solid as a rock, yeah, we a feel like killing nice.
Yes, escape the kingdom in full effect. If you like what you hear, make sure you go cop it. Big up every time, I'm enjoying being here. Shout out Red Rooms. This last one is a little exclusive for you. It's called Blakely Boy. It's off some new stuff for a project that is yet to be named. We finished this song yesterday. I hope you enjoy. Kicking Back Podcast, it's been great being here. Shout out Red Rooms for obviously inviting me through. Really having a great time. My name is Jay Chambers. If you've enjoyed any of your music, make sure you go and follow me at JAYCMCR. And that's for Twitter, Instagram, all of them things there. You know, just trying to set a positive message through the music. I hope it really resonates with you. Anyway, let's get personal and let me tell you where I'm from. Yo, these are my Sydney road flows. Does the postcode make the man? It plays a bigger hand than we ever planned. Picture this, BBC on the TV, seeing Reggie Yates, thinking one day it could be me. National front, sprayed up on the walls, not feeling welcome at all. We're all poor, so why is calling my flaw? Cause if no one has a pot to piss in, then what's the difference? Knowing you're the one to go the distance, then show resistance. Rocking US breast of my class, knowing the people would laugh. The impact of the past, cause in a way I know it drove my love for J's. I keep balling, but I ain't smoked a blunt for days. I keep falling, never fazed by the struggle. I was raised in the jungle, so remain on the humble. Yeah, through the rain and the thunder I refrain from the trouble. Now I'm making it my brothers. Through the pain, time to get my own life together. Though the faces I still remember, cause I'll always be a Blakely boy, because we're moving away through the fire and flame. Time to make a change for the better, though the ends I'll always remember, cause I'll still be a Blakely boy, a Blakely boy. Cause I'll still be a Blakely boy, a Blakely boy. I'll still be a Blakely boy, a Blakely boy. Cause I'll still be a Blakely boy, a Blakely boy. Cause I'll still be a Blakely boy. These are my Sydney road flows, just the postcode make the man. It plays a bigger hand than we ever planned. In the school of hard knocks, when you drop you have to find your feet. Stand tall when we test you, it can't be weak. Stand your ground, it's better to own your space. Hindsight is bittersweet, yo, it's deep when the predates. Nothing to waste, my folks work multiple jobs. Was clear from day one way, you're beating the odds. And some were lost, trying to make a change. Profiled by the police in the streets are often fans of flames. So what's the aim? Chase status to end up in cages. These things don't make us or break us, it takes us time to figure out who we are. If you do, you go far, just believe, though it's hard. Look at me, went from boy in front of the TV to poetry on the BBC, now UCB, Blakely boy. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jay. Enjoying what you see so far? Make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/recrooms, and hit that subscribe and bell button. We're putting out new live sessions and podcasts every week for you to discover new artists. If you're out and about, you can also subscribe and listen to all our podcasts in all good podcasting places. We've just opened our brand new merch store over at etsy.com. You can buy yourself some delightful Kicking Back Podcast t-shirts, jumpers, mugs, stickers, and much more. We're going to be keeping this store up to date with new merch all the time, so head on down to etsy.com/shop/recrooms to get yourself some sweet new threads. Anyway, that's enough from me. Time to get on with the show. See you in a sec. Hello, and welcome back to episode 41 of the Kicking Back Podcast. You've just heard some sweet tunes from our guest today, Jay Chambers. Well done, Jay.
Thank you very much.
Very enjoyable, sir.
Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about each tune and like what it's about and the sort of messages behind them.
Okay, so the first one was called Escape the Kingdom, which was the title track of the whole LP.
Yeah.
So that song in itself was just kind of writing about, I guess, the duality of being like black and British, like living in contemporary Britain. Like, I feel like my identity is always in a constant state of duality in the sense of, you know, when we see examples of artists and successful people of colour, you know, they're British in their success but black in their failure. That's a quote. I'm going to write that down.
Wow,
Yeah.
nice, man.
That was mad. But yeah, like, I feel like, you know, like when you see like Stormzy or someone like that, when he's winning awards, it's British artist Stormzy, but then like when he's done something that's considerably negative, it's black British artist Stormzy. And so that was something I really wanted to explore, and this idea of, okay, well, we've got things like the Room Rush fiasco, which is like messaging for like young people of colour that they don't really belong here, the rising, obviously, racism and xenophobia that's going on, and there's a whole generation of people who are confused about belonging, and that song was kind of addressing those things in a short verse, and then being like, well, actually, I belong here. And, you know, the Escape the Kingdom isn't physically escaping the country, but it's a post-colonial mindset of escaping everything that the kingdom represents.
Okay, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, man.
I feel like that was a really long explanation.
No, that was good.
I like the detail.
Yeah.
I like the detail.
So the second one then was Kill the Noise. So that came out, everything in this project had like historically significant dates, which have been completely by accident. So like, the project dropped on like Black History Month in America, like Antenna, which was a poem about my locks, dropped on World Afro Day. It was like, it's been really mad. But anyway, Kill the Noise dropped the date of the first Black Lives Matter protest in Manchester, which ended up leading, coincidentally, which was mad. But
oh, really?
yeah, by accident.
By accident.
Yeah, that's another story. But like, the song just addresses, like, we always have these issues, and we're always like, you know, well, racism exists, you know, imperialism exists, and we can't do anything. It's like, well, actually kill the noise and do what you can. And that's what that song's about.
Okay.
Kind of stopping sharing stuff on, like, sharing stuff on social media and creating awareness is one part of it, but actually getting on the streets or making a change at a community level is one thing, and that's what that song spurs people to do. Then the final one, Blakely Boy, we literally finished like yesterday. It's just the song, like, I guess all of my music generally is political and just kind of has a message, and one of the criticisms that I've, well, not criticisms, but one of the things people have asked who like my music is they wanted to know more about me. So I was like, well, let me tell you about where I grew up in it and the impact of it. Like, growing up in Blakely in the early 90s, like, I was born in 1990, and work out my age if you're quick at maths. Like, going to school and that, I remember, like, we grew up on like a predominantly white street, and I'd be walking to school past like National Front graffiti, and like our house, someone sprayed like N-words, go home on the white wall of our house. My mum and dad would get like loads of mad. I remember going shopping and like with my mum as a young age, and like in the weird little booky thing that they put you in the trolley and it to push you around, and like just people like looking at what we buy, and just all of these things are ingrained. So like Blakely was like a place of pain, but also like where I grew up and like where I love, and like my best friends to this day still live there. Right. So it was like kind of exploring that, you know, like having, you know, walking past National Front sprayed up on the walls, not feeling welcome at all, we're all poor, so why's colour my floor? And then like flipping it into a positive. So talking about like the inequality that you experience economically, but then obviously that unifying us, but then the race being the divider, and asking why is that? Right. Okay. Some good subject matter there, man. Yeah. A lot to unpack. Yeah. Like have
Have you always written like spoken word stuff as sort of like an outlet? Is it a thing you've always kind of done?
Looking back, yeah, like I remember like being in like those shit subjects like classics. Did you do classics at school?
What the hell's
Is
classics?
that like
Yo.
English lit?
Nah, so it's like I think my school I just went to was shit in it. Facts. Shout out St. Matt's. At me, bro. But nah, like it was like the study of classical civilization. So we had this teacher who was obsessed with Pompeii, and it was just like 3 years of Pompeii and like all of that. But
Right,
it was as entertaining as it sounds.
Yeah,
So like in
yeah.
the back of that lesson, in the back of my book, I'd just be writing songs in it. And so like looking back, it was only recently I realised, yeah, I've always kind of done that. And it'd usually be about this shit teacher who's driving me up the wall, talking to me about Pompeii.
That's great, man.
Did you ever like go back and revisit any of that stuff or
Nah.
no? Oh, is that the stuff that you're gonna show us later?
Let's leave that where it
Yes.
is.
Yeah, we'll leave that dead and buried.
Don't want to talk about this.
Did you find when you know back in the when you were doing your rock
Yeah.
stuff, was any of that the subject matter that you do now? Was any of that incorporated then, or
Kind of, but like a more watered down version. So like the band that I was in, obviously someone else had to sing those songs.
Right,
and
yeah.
It wasn't necessarily someone who could speak from my experience.
Yeah.
So it was kind of watered down and talked about like individuality and an area that they could relate to, like maybe like not feeling they fit in or things like that. So
yeah,
it was that
makes
kind
sense.
of vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what have you got going on the rest of the year, Jay?
Few things. I'm shooting a few videos. I'm sat on a few songs that I want to release before the year's out. Currently in talks about a headline show. Because obviously with Escape the Kingdom, I think it's the only, for those who follow me, they know that every time I do a project, I have a show to launch it.
Yeah.
But because of COVID, we didn't get to do that. So I'm gonna do a relaunch show for Escape the Kingdom. We have vinyls which are coming through PS. Shout out PS. So they should be here soon, and then at the relaunch show, people will be able to cop a vinyl, which will be good.
I always think this, man. Like, I love, like, obviously, like, I've met a lot of like local Manchester musicians and stuff, and they like give me like the CDs. I'm like, I can't play this. Do you know what I mean?
Finals back.
Like been given a couple up there, and like that left arm was great, that Oldham Tinkers one. But like I had to like go on Bandcamp and like play it, and like. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't want to buy it because I've already got the CD that's worth like 15 quid up there. But it's like I have no means of playing this thing. So getting vinyl, but I would buy a vinyl. Do you know what I mean?
I'll send you one when they're here, man.
Yeah. Is it got like a little like insert booklet?
Yeah. So when we were designing it, like I'm not very good at that stuff, and so the label coming back to me with like these different things. So they're like, you know, do you have an inlet sheet? And I was like, well, what's an inlet sheet when it's at home? You know, like the little bit that you want people to pull out and have a look at. And I was like, I just want a vinyl with my music on it in it. I don't know about any of this stuff, man.
I know. That's my favourite bit about a record, though. Is like, you know,
Tells you a bit about it.
Yeah, it just gives you like there's a Fleet Foxes album, their first album. I bought that and I bought it and I didn't play it for like a year and a half. I have no idea why I didn't play it. It's like one of my favourite albums. And I finally just sat. I think it was during lockdown. I had nothing else to do, so I was just going through the record collection. And then I opened up the booklet, and it just had this like. It's like 4 or 5 pages just all about like every single song, but then also like the concept behind the album and all that. So I read through it all, and then I put it on, and it's like I heard it in a completely
mad
different way. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's really nice to have that sort of that extra information. That's one thing it is missing from like digital release and stuff. Is that kind of physicality.
Definitely. There's like so much like dope Manchester hip hop coming out on vinyl as well. Like. You got like The Life of Riley, who had an album that came out on Village Records. You've got like PK Roscoe, who's got an album called, can't remember what the name is, but it's like Kung Fu themed. It's really, really cool. But again, on Village Live, there's like quite a lot of Manchester hip hop that's pressed to vinyl now. So definitely look out for it.
Sick, man.
I saw, I'm not entirely sure of like kind of the numbers here, but I read something about how there's kind of like a vinyl crisis going on at the moment.
What is in like a shortage or?
Yeah, basically the is it like a factory? Is that what you call it? Vinyl?
Yeah, like a pressing factory.
Yeah, pressing factory. Yeah. Basically like because vinyl's kind of blown up again, it's got popular. A bunch of the, you know, mainstream pop artists are selling thousands and thousands of vinyls and they're being prioritized. So these smaller local artists aren't getting their vinyl orders out.
That happened to me.
Did it?
My vinyl was supposed to be here in April, and
Right.
you see where we're at now in the game.
Jeez, yeah. And are you still waiting on it now?
Yeah, like everyone who's been involved with the process has been really great, and I'm blessed to even have a vinyl coming out. But it was basically, there's a place in Croatia, I think it is, where they get a lot of pressing done, and just because of the demand, it's just been backdated and backdated.
Of course, yeah.
But they're on the way.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the day. I remember researching it a few years ago. Like people had started like 3D printing
Ooh,
vinyl out of like
Ooh.
recycled plastic,
that's mad.
and it was like kind of in its infancy. I've not like re-looked at the thing, but like it was kind of, they sounded all right. They didn't sound amazing, but they like, there's this guy. What I can't remember what the guy's name was, but he was like been spending a few years like developing. But I think like if you could get that down, that would be amazing, because anyone could. Well, obviously you need to get the design, the master print done, but you could just bang them out like, and then made out of recycled plastic as well.
That'd be so good, especially for like music that is a bit rough around the edges, and like
Yeah,
demo
man.
would be well good.
Yeah, yeah. We should, James. Can you pull that up? Actually, just do a little quick Google search. Just put in 3D printed vinyl records, maybe recycled plastic or something, and see what
Get all
comes
the
up.
words in.
Yeah, because it was really I kind of got into. I went into a bit of a like eco phase like a few years ago. I've calmed down a little bit now. It's still very important.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
I had the same.
But I was like, the planet's burning, we're all gonna die, oh my god! Like, just like moment. And like I got into like
Cut out all plastics.
Yeah, I did,
Yeah.
did that, and like I was researching. There's this German guy that's like built this system to like, so you separate your different plastics out, your non-recyclable, and then you can build these machines that like deal with the plastic, and you can turn them into other things. So like it like crushes them all up. You can melt certain plastics together and like build them into things, and people use them for like 3D printing and things like that.
That's mad.
It was like a Kickstarter company that he started, and I was literally like, these machines are like, they cost like $2,000 each, and like I was like,
It's the next thing.
I was like, let's get a bank loan, and then I could just start making these in my garage, and I was just like, it went a little bit too far.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff.
What I've seen is they're called, I can't remember exactly what they're called. It's something like plastic bricks or something. Wait, actually, let's look at this first, and then I'll talk.
Right. So what website is this, James? Yes, okay. This just pulled up a random one. In order to test current levels of 3D printing, I created a technique for converting digital audio to 3D printable. Blah 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 blah. The audio quality is low. Yeah, this was the thing that I remember them saying. 3D modeling this project was too complex to do by hand, so I wrote a processing program to do this conversion automatically. What else we got on this page, James? I'm seeing if they've got any.
The songs are recognizable.
Oh, well,
what
that's
it says.
good. Yeah, it'd be good that the songs are recognisable. Just play that video. Just wonder if that will show us. For the people that are listening at home, we're just looking at this guy that's been through, because they look pretty slick. Oh, we get a bit of sound as well. So I'm hoping that this is, something that artists could get access to then, because it's also that thing of like, producing vinyl is really expensive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they need to make however many 100 copies before they can get a clean press.
Yeah.
But this gets around all of that, because once you've got the design, you can just press them off straight away.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully this is kind of going to become a thing, and then we can use less oil to make them. But yeah, it's interesting. What were you saying, Kim? Sorry.
Well, it's completely unrelated to vinyls. It's just about plastic now.
Oh, go on.
It was just I've seen something about like recycling bricks or something, where people take a plastic bottle and they just fill it with all bits of plastic and like crisp packets and all sorts of stuff
Right.
until it's completely full. And then if they have more, they just keep collecting it, and then they can like ship it off to a company that uses that to like build walls and stuff.
Oh.
I'm explaining this so terribly
No,
because
I think
can't.
I've seen it.
Yeah, you've seen it.
Yeah, like plastic bricks that are
Yeah.
used to like build like houses or like
Yeah, yeah,
eco-friendly like
Yeah.
places.
That's what it was. That sounded better than build
James,
walls.
pull that up. Plastic eco bricks.
Yeah.
We've got to give James something to do in the back over there, otherwise it's chilling out.
It's like a Wizard of Oz setup. Like there's the little curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
The
behind
magic behind going on there. So what? So you ship it off to people. Is this something that people can just do?
Yeah, people can do it just at home. But I think there is also kind of like a hub that they can send it to
Right,
if they don't want
okay.
to use them themselves. Yeah, I can't really remember like the extent of what they use it for, but some sort of housing type thing.
Yeah. And there's
Yeah.
that.
Here
Is
we
this it?
Eco
Okay.
bricks.
Eco bricks can be made by the young, the old, and everyone in between. No machines, special skills, or expert required. However, there are important guidelines to follow. Blah blah blah. So they just fill. Yeah, it's just filled with like plastic.
Yeah.
Save, segregate, clean, and dry plastics. So, right. So this is all the stuff that you can't recycle then, like styrofoam.
Yeah.
and
How are you
things like
fitting
that.
styrofoam in a plastic bottle?
I was just thinking that, man. Would you have to break it up and
Yeah,
bash it in or
I think
somewhere?
you would have to break it up.
So there's two. Choose your bottle. Let's just go through the bullet points, James. We've got 3. Get your stick ready. Stick? What the fuck? Right, let's open that
Is
one.
this the
then.
right site?
Is that just to like
Eco bricks like to call their packing stick their magic wand. It makes the plastic disappear. Having the right stick will make a big difference in your eco bricking. Bamboo and wood make the best sticks.
Should that be like the caption on one of your Instagram stories?
Yeah, the size of the stick depends on the type of bottle you go with.
no.
Oh my god. Do they really have to explain? Well, yeah, they probably do. Yeah, that's brilliant. So you poke it down with a stick,
Oh my God.
and then right, okay. 5. Start adding a bottom color. It's important to start your eco brick by adding a bottom color.
Because it's got to be colourful and entertaining.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Right.
I have
What?
to say I've never looked through this website before.
No, but I'm enjoying how stupid it is, but also how great it is. Store your eco brick.
So what does it say there? Like what you
So
can do with
store
it?
your once complete, you'll need to store your eco bricks until you have enough for you project. Store eco bricks indoors out of the sun. Blah blah blah. Stack horizontally. But then right, okay, and then what?
It doesn't say what
It
you
doesn't
can
say
use it
what
for.
you do with them. They just occupy space in your house as
Decorative bricks.
Yeah. Oh, they do look kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
I've definitely seen them actually being like used
for something.
practically. I just can't remember what.
Well, if the people from Eco Bricks want to come on and have a chat with us,
Yeah.
I'm happy to have a
you
discussion
should
with
have
them.
an eco week.
You should.
Eco Week.
Mm.
That's a great idea.
Mm,
You should come to our little brainstorm meetings, Kim. You did
I
great.
should. I'm so smart and clever and great.
Yeah. Well
Yeah.
done. Well done.
Thank you.
So, Jay.
Yes, back to
Sorry.
No, I'm enjoying this.
We got well off topic,
Yeah.
man.
How did
That was
happen?
dope. I enjoyed it.
So, where can people find your stuff online again, Jay?
So Spotify, Apple Music, all of those things. It's just J.Chambers, like the letter J. Don't call me J-A-Y, upsets me. But ironically, my handle for everything is JAYCMCR because Instagram was snakes and won't let me just have J.
Ah, bastards.
I know, right?
Yeah.
What the hell?
And then you've got your new releases. You're doing so more recording with band
Yeah.
stuff now. How come you've made that shift?
I guess just kind of the type of music I'm making, like it's becoming more and more, apart from Blatantly Boy, it's becoming more and more heavily reggae influenced.
Okay.
So in order to have that authenticity, it just has to be live now, innit? So
Yeah, man.
it's just where we're at in the game.
And how long have you been doing stuff with the band for?
Probably it's a relatively new thing, like just coming out of lockdown, really.
Okay,
So,
cool.
Mm,
we had a lot of stuff that was MIDI that we're now in the stages of transposing and obviously then recording live.
Sweet, man. And then have you got a date for that headline gig yet?
No,
Not
I
yet,
was supposed to
okay.
have a call about it today, but that didn't transpire.
Okay.
right. But
Know
what?
who you are. I'm only joking.
But will the live show be with the live band as well?
Yeah, it will be.
Oh,
Exciting, man.
Yeah.
Well, I do have one more question for you before we wrap up. And I forgot to prep you about it beforehand.
Am I going to walk out? No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
Oh.
probably. So I ask everyone this, is what would you, how,
Brad.
I've literally asked this. I've asked this question 41 times.
Wow.
And I've just gotten it wrong. If you could sum this podcast up in 3 words, what would it be? And I can do an example if you want.
Okay.
Or Kim will. Go on.
Oh.
Oh, fine.
That was so mean.
So I would say informative.
Oh, that was my first word.
Ah, well, there you go. Informative, inspiring, and educational.
Do I give explanation for each of the words, or is it just the
No,
words?
man, just the 3 words off the top of your head. What would you say?
Comfortable.
Nice.
Easy, in the sense of obviously easy flowing, and fun.
Fun. Oh, so heartwarming, all these 3 words. Delightful.
You owe me 20 quid.
I'll sort you out after.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Jay, and I wish you all the best of luck with the
Thank
new
you,
releases
Phil.
and stuff. And let us know when that gig's happening, because I would love to come down and check it out.
Will do. Thanks for
Yes.
having me as well.
That would be great.
Yeah, man. And thank you, Kim, as well.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
thanks,
having
great.
me. It's just skipped over my 3 words, but whatever.
Oh,
I'm not mad about
sorry.
it. No,
Oh,
you had
did
your
you prepare?
chance.
Did you prepare
You had your
something?
chance.
Oh,
I prepared something great. You'll
okay.
never know.
All right, well, never mind. I'm not that upset about it. I hope you enjoyed it at home. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube. This episode will be going out live now, and it will be on all good podcasting apps very shortly. We have Hannah Ashcroft on next week, who's delightful. Oh, no, sorry, it's Alex D next week, who's, how would you describe Alex D, James? He's just a very nice bloke.
Loveliest man.
He's
to
done a really
exist.
interesting PhD on something to do with music. I can't remember now. I'm
Well,
the
that's-
greatest host. I'm doing really well today, aren't I? Oh, it's the D brothers, but yeah, Alex D and his brother. It's going to be a good one anyway. So come check it out next week.
Basically,
I
just
need
giving
to
you a
stop
tiny
now.
taste so that you actually have to come next week
Yeah.
to know what it's about.
I need to stop now because I feel if I could just keep going, my mind's just going to get more. So thank you for watching at home. I hope you enjoy Jay's music. Go and check it out. And we'll be back again next week at the same time. See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to catch up on new episodes every week. Also, check us out on our Facebook and Instagram at Rec Rooms, where you can find out about our other exciting music series. We also have this and all our other episodes of the podcast up on our Rec Rooms YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. See you next time.